Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 2 of this week from the Golden Domers Report. I am Landen Traylor, joined by Logan Traylor, John Richards. Dylan Kerns is back in action, back and better than ever, wearing the Diamondbacks hat, rooting for him. Nobody likes to see the Dodgers win. Today's episode, we are going to be previewing Notre Dame and USC under the lights from South Bend, Indiana. It doesn't get any better than that. I don't care what Notre Dame's record is. I don't care what USC's record is. It's Notre Dame and USC in South Bend in October under the lights. Hit it.
By Samardzija, inside the 20, inside the 10. He's going in. Notre Dame has scored.
Go. You will be that driving force to motivate those coaches and those players to beat Southern Cal.
It's a game of who's going to flinch first. We know that isn't going to be Notre Dame.
Let's get right into it, folks. Notre Dame host another unbeaten ranked night game as they face off with their bitter rival, number 10 USC, who has gone down in the polls every single week since the AP poll has been released. Southern Cal is coming off of a 43-41 3-overtime victory against Arizona at home. We just got back to the hotel. Logan fell asleep. He was so tired. I stayed up and watched the game. That game was sloppy from USC. Boy, I thought they were going to blow it. If it wasn't for Arizona's atrocious play calling in that football game, I think USC would be sitting here. They are 6-0. I think we're sitting here 5-1. The week before, they had a 48-41 road win at Colorado. They blew a 20-something point lead. I think a 27-point lead they had in that ball game. They blew that, and they only won by 7 points by recovering an onside kick. The week before that, they won 42-28 over Arizona State and let Drew Pine absolutely pick this team apart. We saw a little bit last year. Drew Pine had a successful game against the Lincoln Riley defense. So, JR, Notre Dame, USC, what do you think?
Well, I do care what their records are. And yeah, it does get better than this. It would be great if both teams would be undefeated. Unfortunately, we're not, because we've got a lot of questions again that we thought we had some answers to that now we don't. USC, I hate to say this, guys, but a lot of times these games come down to who's got the better quarterback and who's got the better coach. And unfortunately, I think USC has both. The only thing that I think does play into our favor is, and this has been a common theme the last couple of weeks, is the spot and the situation. And Notre Dame sits pretty in this spot, in this situation. We're coming off a loss. We're salty. We got Salt Bay pouring extra salt all amongst our players. And they're winded. Very winded. They are coming across country on a very long trip. They're playing their rival, who, let's be honest, hasn't done themselves any favors with respect to how they present themselves relative to Notre Dame and their quarterback, and how they like to paint their fingers. So this is going to be a really tough physical game. Can Notre Dame elevate again? Here we are, fourth primetime game in a row, undefeated opponent, another rival. Can we elevate? It's going to take a lot of help from everybody involved in that stadium. And everyone's going to have to be on their A game in order to get this done. You're going to have to pressure Williams all night long, but pressure him in a very disciplined manner. You can't get behind him. You can't start chasing him all around. You can't lose your lanes, your gaps. You have to contain your edges. This is a very, very tough, difficult matchup. Logan and I discussed yesterday, Freeman's already 0-3 against USC and Ohio State. This could be 0-4. I hope it's not. But USC, they've got problems too. They're not infallible. Struggling at home against some of the opponents that they have. it looked like they were rolling along in Colorado, and then boom, all of the same problems that are accompanied with Lincoln Riley and everywhere he goes. All those issues still arise with him and USC this year. So maybe it's a get right game for our offense. Maybe we've got nothing to lose and we play, balls out and our crowd provides such a favorable atmosphere that their condition, their endurance levels aren't quite what they need to be. They make all the mental mistakes. They're on the road. They're gassed, and we've coming out punching and still have something to prove. 10-2. That was my prediction. I'm gonna stick to it.
Right.
I'll pass the baton.
9-3 is my prediction. Now, last year, I want to point out that Caleb Williams had just 232 passing yards at home against Notre Dame's defense. Drew Pine against their defense put up 318 yards. Drew Pine, Dylan. Drew Pine.
Talk about the run game that they did. They ran all over our asses.
Yes, they ran. Now, that rush game, they ran 204 yards compared to our 90.
Thing. I mean, you want to go to me for this. I want to look at this football game from a holistic standpoint. If this is a Brian Kelly-led team, say what you want about BK, okay? If this is a Brian Kelly-led team, we're beating USC by 14 off that loss. I seriously think he'd beat their ass. That's the way he knows what the game means. He knows the magnitude. He knows how to coach. He would go win this game. But we're sitting here looking at Marcus Freeman. I don't like him after losses. I thought they came out flat against Duke. They lost to freaking Marshall last year. There's times where the team doesn't look good under Marcus Freeman. And I don't trust his decision-making. It's another big game. This is a game Notre Dame should go out after a loss and beat them in the mouth. And my heart and my gut's telling me yes, but my mind's like, I don't know if they can do it. I am starting to be completely out on Marcus Freeman.
You're in the boat that JR and myself are on, but Logan, to counter that, I'll send it to you.
Oh, well, we kind of had a lengthy conversation about it yesterday. I'm not going to disagree with the whole Marcus Freeman, problems that you guys may have. Is he the guy? That's validated. You can challenge everything. Everything's on the table like we talked about yesterday. But at some point, we got to move on. We still, in my opinion, you're 5-2. You have a lot to play for still. And right now, you have USC coming. And, we talked about it yesterday. Like I said, the problem with this group right now is your coaching and the lack of leadership. And if you're able to figure that out in 5 days, and which I don't believe they are able to solve all their problems, but if you can get some momentum going in, to your bye week, beating USC, you can still have a really good season. And 10-2 as a second-year head coach, I'm okay with that. What's with the little hand?
And JR has something to counter. Keep going on your point. I'll let JR when you're done.
So, JR can go because I want to talk about USC, but, we can have this conversation still because obviously Dylan wasn't here yesterday. But, thinking more about it yesterday, listening to, a lot of podcasts and just seeing what people think. And a lot of people are on your guys' side. You don't hear a lot of, I want to see Freeman successful, or I want to see Parker successful. And then you obviously have a small majority of I want them to figure it out. And, I'm a part of that small majority. I think if at some point, like I said yesterday, if he's able to develop, if he's able to coach the way he recruits, we're going to have a fun little stretch to be fans of Notre Dame football if he develops and if he's able to coach the way he recruits at the high level that he does recruiting-wise. So that's where I'm at. I'm excited, like you said, Landon. obviously let JR go, and then maybe I could talk about USC. But
yeah,
that's where I'm at, and we'll see.
I mean, I'm very excited. Like, I know I'm a young fan, but like Notre Dame and USC has always been a game that I get excited for. Even when we were 4-8, or we came into USC 4-7 in 2016, I was still pumped up for USC. It's just like, I don't know. There's something different about Notre Dame USC. JR, you had your little hand raised. I've never really seen that before on Zoom. Go ahead.
All this changes next year, you guys, because 12-team playoff.
It does. Absolutely, it does. This is a must-win game.
We may have a completely different. Let's put this team. Let's say the 12-team playoff were to take place this year.
Right.
We're still in it.
Must-win game.
We're still in it, and we've got plenty of opportunities to fight our way back in it.
Yes.
But that's next year, and here we are. So, the landscape changing does come into our favor a little bit next year, but I think we lose some of the benefits. Is that right? Like, we can't ever get a bye.
Yeah, we won't ever
have a bye, but
we won't have a home game either.
Yeah. So a whole new set of expectations and issues could arise next year because the whole thing changes. So does a 10-2 Notre Dame team in the playoff next year make me happy? I'm gonna have to say yeah, because I got a shot. I'm still playing for something meaningful. Dylan, you disagree? I'm not saying that I think that's our path to that's guaranteeing a national championship. Again, and this goes back to yesterday's conversation about just trading one set of problems for another, BK and Marcus Freeman.
Right.
Or are we still going to have confidence in Freeman and going on the road in the playoff atmosphere next year to win 2 straight?
Go ahead, Mr. D-back.
I disagree with only one thing you said. 10-2 does not get you in next year. Have you seen the schedule? If you lose to Florida State to USC, that's not getting in.
I'm just saying it keeps you alive. Like 10-2 doesn't exclude you like it does this year.
That's fair.
Right. That's conversation for another episode, maybe a bye week type of episode or an off season type of episode.
We get one of those.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring that to Logan's point. If we had the playoff available to us this year, maybe the vast majority coming off that loss isn't as staunch and vocal against Freeman and Parker and all the questions. I mean, they're still there, but the dynamic changes next year.
Absolutely, it does. And regardless of this year, next year, this is a must-win game for Notre Dame at home. I'm sorry, you cannot lose to your rival at home. I don't care if it's Michigan. I don't care if it's USC. I hate losing to them in general. I hate losing to them on our own home turf. Look, this team can score. This team has the best quarterback that I have seen in my 19 years on this earth. I will say that. This quarterback is good. He can throw the ball. He can run the ball accurately. He's a top 5 quarterback. He's the best quarterback in college football right now. He's a top 10 quarterback all time. But this team cannot defend. You look at these numbers. I'm gonna say these numbers real quick. 162 points allowed this season. They average 27 points allowed per game. 27 points allowed per game. But at the end of the day, the question is, can Notre Dame score those 27 points or more? That's the question at hand. Can Notre Dame figure out the offense? Because I think this defense has what it takes to beat USC. They've scored 311 points this season. They average 52 points per game. I don't think that's going to happen against Notre Dame. They haven't faced a defense like Al Golden's defense and Notre Dame's defense. They have 1,822 passing yards, roughly 303 passing yards per game. They don't rush much. 103 rush yards is their best game. And Marshawn Lloyd has overall 519 rush yards per game, about 86.5 yards per game. Austin Jones, he has 163 rush yards, about 27 yards per game. So, Logan, this offense, can it perform to the level it needs to perform to beat USC? And what level do you think that is?
Well, good research, by the way. You took all my notes. But so, yes, to be honest with you, I think our offense can't figure it out. But it's going to be a battle between their worst and our worst. So their defense versus our offense. I don't have, and this sucks to say because I feel bad for them, but I don't have confidence in our defense right now just because of, you got to think how much they've been on the field the last, 12 quarters.
Yeah. And they did collapse against Louisville. You saw them collapse a little bit against Louisville.
And, I mean, let's be honest, Caleb Williams probably the best player in the country. But, I said it yesterday, we had a pretty good game plan, I thought, last year going into California. Thought that and to lose by 11 to the Heisman winner with Drew Pine, who had a good game, you're telling me if Drew Pine can throw for 300 plus and have a pretty decent game, Sam Hartman can't do the same. And I would argue, our offense should be better than last year. Obviously you don't have, first rounder and Michael Mayer, but your offensive line's better. Your tight ends, you have two weapons on the tight ends. I think offensively, I'm not worried about. I'm hoping that our offensive line figures it out. I really do.
They have to.
The big question mark, though, is going to be our receivers. Can Tobias and Rico get open? Those types of guys, Tobias, I'm hoping for a big game. He's due for one. One of these guys is due for one in that wide receiver room, and hopefully, they're having a good week. But, that's my big key to, finding success offensively. Because at the end of the day, you can't not score against USC because you know what? They're going to put up points. They're going to put up points, and they could put up points in a hurry. So, I think, we're in a decent spot, like JR said. We've talked a lot about spots and where we're at and, coming off a loss. And this just gives me a feeling of Clemson last year. You're not necessarily – your season's basically over, when it comes to the CFP. You're not playing for a playoff spot anymore, but, come out and just kick somebody right in the ass. And that's what I really want to see happen. I don't think it's going to be a Clemson type of game, but I think it's going to be a really fun game and obviously one of the best rivalries, in the sport. But hopefully we're able to figure it out. It starts with that wide receiver room, and that's my priority going into this week.
Right, and it looks like everybody is available. I've scrolled many sources on Twitter. Dylan, I'll go to you. You disagree, I think, a little bit. Go ahead.
It doesn't matter if everyone's available.
Okay.
It doesn't matter if everyone's available. And I'll say this blatantly and I'll say it obviously. From what I've seen throughout the course of this season, roast me if you want, this is the worst wide receiver room I have seen during my Notre Dame fandom. I'm serious. You want to say these things like, okay, Sam Hartman played a bad game. I agree. I don't like Sam Hartman. I am kind of getting off that edge. He's a little bit overrated from my standpoint. They got running backs for days. There's a stacked box. Everyone is in that box. You have the best phenomenal running backs with Love and Estime and Price and anyone else that touches the ball back there. But you can't get separation? Your leading receiver outside of your tight end has what? 33 yards. Jaden Thomas, 33 yards. Tyree. They're not making catches. They're not getting separation against freaking Louisville. I mean, where's the Miles Boykin on this team? Where's the Chase Claypool? Where's the guys that we've had in the past that could just find ways to get open and at least have one freaking wide receiver that can make a damn play? I'm sick and tired of hearing all these. I mean, we praise their names like, oh my gosh, it's Jaden Thomas, it's Greathouse. Thank God they're healthy. Why does it matter? They're not getting open and they're not making plays to win games. I'm sorry, but I don't like the wide receiver room. I think it's horrible.
Logan?
Oh, and I get it. I'm not going to disagree to the point that, our wide receivers, are so good, which they're not. But you're telling me that all those guys, Jaden Greathouse, Tobias Merriweather, Deion Colsey, Rico, missing anybody? Anyway.
Faison.
Yeah, you're telling me the only walk-on in Faison is the only one able to find success, but everybody else in the wide receiver room is struggling. That's not a talent problem. That is a coaching problem. Because we're talking about three guys who were 4 stars, came in, and I think they had combined like 8,000 yards their senior year of total yards in high school. So you're telling me that all of them came to Notre Dame and they couldn't produce. It didn't translate from what they did in high school. I don't buy it. I think it's a major coaching problem, and like we talk about all the time, coaching is a major part of coaching is putting your guys in a position to succeed, finding a rhythm. So running a go route to Rico Flores isn't putting Rico in a position to succeed the first drive of the game in a true freshman. It's not. Putting Jaden Greathouse in a slot is not putting him in a position to succeed. How many screens do we run? How many RPOs do we run to get those guys catches, to get them out in open field? That's a
amateur hour.
So to me, and we're talking about 18, 19, 20-year-olds in that room, really young guys that didn't get a lot of reps, which is a problem within itself.
Right.
So that's my problem is I really don't – you can blame it on the kids, and, maybe some of that has to do with it. Who knows? I'm not in the effing wide receiver room realizing what's going on or what's being taught, but I see what's going on Saturday, and they haven't improved from week 1 to now. They haven't. And if anything, they've digressed.
Absolutely.
Improvement there. So, and, a majority of that falls on coaching, and, that's my problem. So –
absolutely. I agree.
Oh, so we've talked about a lot of coaches who have been here, who have left, who have come. One name we never talk about is Chancey Stuckey. So maybe he's a little bit of an issue. Everybody seems to like him as a recruiter, and we all know what kind of career he had. But maybe there's something to that. And a couple other points. Are we better offensively than we were? I don't know if we can say that right now. And, Dylan, I like you saying we should just – it doesn't matter who's available. You just come out and you win this game and you pound them in a submission. You win. This is my problem with Freeman. That needs to be our identity when we're not playing our A or our B game and we just go in there and we road grade you to death. That's what should have happened last week. But we didn't have, for whatever reasons that he needs to identify. I think it's we discussed a lot of that yesterday.
Right.
I'm in that camp, and I don't want to digress either. But this is my, I wrote down these things just in these last 2 minutes. Are we better offensively? We have identity issues. Do we want to be this, high potent finesse, spread them out, drop back shotgun pass, or do we want to be 40 rushes a game? And I think some of his answers yesterday to, some of the questions about, the calls, and he had more problem with the execution than the calls. And maybe he's just lying and, he's party lying. He's given the party line. But I don't know, man. That's like Logan, the first thing I thought is, why are we throwing that pass on our first drive? Like, that's not a pass we throw to that kid typically. And, say what you want about BK, but BK loved that throw down the sideline to a big, strong, physical kid. And we were good at it. That play, it was against their best corner in our freshman, young, small, tiny slot receiver, basically.
But if they
and
put
that's
Mitchell in that
where
position,
you put that. That's where you have a coaching issue of not putting your kids in their best position to succeed. Now you got a kid out of position completely, playing totally over his head, and that was the coverage. Freeman or Samuel, hoping to part the Red Sea. Still, he saw one-on-one. He's gonna make that throw every time. Whoa, that was a good throw or not? He'll tell you it wasn't. Did he have a lot of time? Who knows? Are we better offensively? Look at our offensive line since Harry left. It's a disaster. He still didn't answer whether or not we're going to have a solid unit against USC. You need to pick 5 guys and play them the entire game unless somebody gets hurt.
Right.
And if they are hurt and they can't perform, get them out.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you have all those guys.
I agree, JR. Now,
TJ Jones.
And then that brings an issue of Bayless, conditioning, mentality, like mental focus and concentration. That's his kind of department.
You say
training,
TJ Jones,
nutrition, and nutrition, and all that. Coach Knight, you got anything back there? No, you good? All right.
What's TJ Jones up to? Can he replace Stuckey? He was a good guy.
Right. Now, the $1 million question is, and I want to go around the panel here. This game, I don't know. Can Notre Dame hang with USC if this game comes down to, let's say, the 30s? We'll start with Dylan.
You said, can USC handle it?
No, can Notre Dame hang with USC if this game goes into the 30s, like scoring wise?
No shot.
No shot. Logan?
I don't want to think about that.
We might have to think about it, though. I mean, in all honesty, USC is going to score the ball at the end of the day.
You're saying if they score 30. You're saying if they score 30 points, do we have a shot?
Yes. Can we hang with them in a shootout? Is basically what I'm saying.
If they score 30 points, I would say yes, but I don't want to be in that territory at all. I want nothing to do with that. I'll just sit my ass down and kind of hide.
John?
Are we gonna because here's my key to the game. We have to have a fast start because this is the conflicting issue.
Mm-hmm.
We aren't a play from behind kind of a football team the way that we're built, especially our defensive identity, our makeup in the backfield, and our offensive line when they're performing the way that we're supposed to perform. But sometimes we think we can, be this finesse, high-powered offense with the receivers that we have and the quarterback that we have. At least that's the perception, that we should be able to play that way. But that's not, I don't think, who we are. So my key to the game is you got to get out to a fast start, because if you fall down, 14-3, 21-10, and we're in a position where now we have to, just spread everybody out. And I don't know, maybe that's going to force our hand and give us some revelation about, how we need to operate. And it might make the light switch go off for Parker. I don't know. But to me, I think we need to be more, especially with our opponent, a little more conservative, a little more ball control, a little more advantageous, keep away. But we got to start fast, because if we're playing from behind, anybody got any confidence in that? 21-3? You think we can come back against USC the way Colorado did?
Yes.
Anybody have any?
I think we can. I think if we fall behind early like that, 21-3, I think we do have a chance at a comeback. I wouldn't be surprised if we did come back. I do not believe in this USC defense. I'm sorry. At the end of the day, I really don't. Logan?
I love what you said last night when we were talking about it. If we win that coin toss, I say we give them the ball and we stop them right away. I think that is the biggest, okay, we're ready to go. Like that, I think that first possession, we're going to know how this game's going to go. And it sounds weird to say, because obviously he got a lot of time after that first possession. in multiple quarters, but that first possession, both defensively and offensively, will set the tone. We will know right away what kind of night it's going to be, and it's going to be it's going to be telling. It's going to be telling.
Absolutely, and I hate to compare, but it's two totally different teams. You look at the top 10 USC team we had come to Notre Dame Stadium in 2017. That first drive of the game, the second play into the game, Sam Darnold drops back to throw, and he fumbles the football, and we score. It's a strip sack, and we ended up running them over 49-14 that game. From the first drive of that game, we controlled the ball game. I think, in my opinion, this game, we have to find a way to get to Caleb Williams. We did good against Ohio State's wide receivers. You look at the numbers they put up, except Ibuka. That kid was, oh man, that was the kid, and the tight end. I can't remember his name now, but he burned us. Yeah, he burned us good. Can we do it again against USC with a better quarterback at the end of the day? Obviously, Caleb Williams compared to what's Ohio State's guy?
McCord.
Yeah, McCord. Williams compared to McCord. Obviously, Caleb Williams has the advantage there. Can we hang with that and a better quarterback? My key to the game, it's almost similar to JR's. It is simply set the tone of the game. I love what I said to Logan yesterday. Win the coin toss. I want to put our defense on the field first. Say, hey, come at us, don't want us. Maybe get a turnover on that first drive. Offensively, man, it's tough, but I think we have to protect Hartman at the end of the day. If we can give Sam Hartman some time to throw the ball, I think he has the potential to do to USC what he did against NC State. Just pick them apart, pick your poison with the receivers, and just pick them apart. Dylan, key to the game.
Key to the game for me is don't embarrass yourself. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
Like,
at home against
that's like the prison inmate pick of the week.
I mean,
you guys are gonna love the prison inmate on Saturday, by the way.
I think you look at this. Oh my gosh, is this the whole? I know the rivalry. Maybe it isn't as big. Maybe it is, depending on how you view it and everyone else in the college football world. Is this an Ohio State can't get over the hump with Michigan type thing that we got going on with Marcus Freeman with USC if he loses this one?
No.
Okay. I wanted to get a feeler for it, and we don't want to call myself crazy here.
No, Dylan. I touched on this yesterday. Mm-hmm. If he loses this game, he's 0-4 against Ohio State and USC.
Yeah. I'm
not okay with that.
Nobody is.
Football games. And he lost to Marshall, too. Throw that in there. Sprinkle.
It's Stanford.
That Stanford loss was bad. That Stanford loss was really bad. 16-14. That was very bad.
It's ugly. I mean, and some of the games that you've been in is just sick. I mean, you lose this game, it's done. So my key is don't embarrass yourself. If you lose to USC, keep it to within 3, keep it to within 7, and play hard. I want people to say, hey, Notre Dame, I know people don't like, we played hard. No, you want to win. But at the end of the day, it's like, can you at least show fight and not embarrass yourself at home against USC? I don't want this. I don't want the quarterback. I don't want him to do all this. The Williams kid.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need that.
Right.
And win the football game.
And I agree to that, Dylan. I want to win this football game though. I'm a big believer in there are no moral victories. At the end of the day, someone's going to win and somebody's going to lose. I don't want moral victories. There's no such thing as moral victories. We either win this game or we lose this game. Logan, key to the victory against USC.
So hard. My key, I touched on the wide receivers. I touched on the offensive line. At some point, you got to utilize your running back room to help your offense, to take some pressure off of Sam, to take some pressure off of your offensive line. So I really want to see some RPOs. I want to see us execute at a high level. But running the ball And going back to, JR mentioned, we don't have an identity, right now under Freeman. We haven't had one. Tommy didn't have an identity of what he wanted to do offensively. And obviously Parker's, just lost right now and drowning. So I want to at least take that step forward and say, okay, hey, this is what has worked in the past, and this is what we're going to do, and stop. And, at some point, obviously I don't want to see our guys running it up the middle every time when there's 8 in the box, but, running the ball, I think if we can average 4 to 5 yards a carry, wear them down and take time off the clock, because how do you beat a really good high-powered offense? You keep them off the field.
Right.
So, value your possessions, but we got to be able to run the ball. Because if we do get in a shootout and we're in a position to where we have to pass and we don't have the option of running, oh God,
it might turn into. I don't know if you guys remember 2014 against USC on the road. We got beat 42-14. It was disastrous. That was with Juju Smith-Schuster in that squad. So the last thing I would like to talk about, and before we get out of here, is the scheduling. If you look, USC played week 0 as well. Now, I get it was at home against San Jose State. We played in Ireland against Navy. They took a bye week somewhere in the middle, in between. Why didn't we? Whoever made our schedule, who in their right mind put 8 straight games, 2 of them being on the road, 3 of them actually back-to-back on the road. Obviously, we didn't know those games were going to be at night. Those were to be determined. I don't know. USC took a bye week. Why not take a bye week after Duke?
Something good from Logan.
I mean, I am very disappointed in the scheduling this year. I love the teams that we play. It's the fact that it's back to back to back to back to back to back to back after week 0. I hate week 0. I absolutely hate it. Still, even if it was week 1, we have 2 bye weeks in the back half of our season. When's the last time that's happened? I think we should have taken a bye week after Duke. Logan, hand raise. Yeah.
A couple things. First thing, you don't expect Duke to be Duke this year, to be a pretty good team, and you don't expect Louisville to be pretty good. However, you look at the schedule, you have Navy, Tennessee State, NC State, Ohio State, Duke, Louisville, SC.
Central Michigan.
And Central Michigan. You're Notre Dame. And at the end of the day, you know what you're signing up for. It doesn't matter who we play, it doesn't matter where our bye week is. You gotta perform every week. And just like JR said, every game, and that's the reality of it. Every game for every team that plays Notre Dame is their Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. Every time they play us, they usually have a bye before they play us.
Yeah.
How many years we say, oh, this schedule we have, 8 teams we play, they all have a bye before they play us.
Or they get one after. Just look at Ohio State.
Yeah, but most of them, right, or after. But most of them, it's before. Everybody coming off a bye. They're coming off a bye. They're coming off a bye.
Clemson last year, right?
But to Logan's point, I don't care who, what, when, where, or how. You got to go win the game, because this is all Monday morning quarterback hindsight. Nobody complains about the schedule when it's scheduled, 5 years in advance. And I'm not going to complain about the schedule being tough when we're struggling with Duke and Louisville. We had a down Ohio State team at home. We've got USC coming on the road. They got their chinks in the armor too. We got nobody to blame but ourselves. We can get into the semantics of how it was constructed. That's valid. But, this is the 35-year anniversary of Catholics versus convicts. Notre Dame wasn't on no bye. We won that game. We won every game. We went to Southern Cal on the road. Look how many teams they beat that year. Number 1, Miami. Number 3, West Virginia. Number 2, USC on the road. I don't know what Michigan was to start the year, but they had to have been up there. Michigan State. Next.
Dylan?
About what?
The schedule. You haven't chimed in.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, to JR's point, you make this years in advance. You don't know what team's going to be there. You know?
You think scheduling Duke and Louisville, you think those are kind of built-in buys. You don't expect Riley Leonard to be Riley Leonard and, Elko to be Elko 5 years in advance when Swarbrick is scheduling this game. We didn't know Braum was going to be their coach. We thought they were still going to have App State guy. So those are all just,
All right.
Freeman, row your boat. You better win this game.
Merrily, or get out of Notre Dame.
Thank you.
Good one. All right. Well, big noon kickoff is going to roll into South Bend, Indiana on Saturday. 53 degrees at kickoff, 50 degrees at the end of the game with a 40% chance of rain. If you want to play like a champion, get the champion jackets out. Get it, Brian Kelly, get in Columbia, get the Columbia jackets out. Logan, get a jacket. We will be here on Saturday morning for the year's very first pregame tailgate with the Golden Domers Report. We got Logan Traylor, we got Dylan Kerns, we got John Richards, Zach Richards, and Dom Richards, along with possibly a celebrity guest picker, Bob Long, if he gets up in the morning with a little coffee. Hopefully he isn't cranky. So on Saturday, we will make our picks and our selections for week 7. It's a big week in college football, a big week for Notre Dame. We'll see you all Saturday, and go Irish.
By Samauja, inside the 20, inside the 10, he's going in! Notre Dame has scored!
Go! You will be that driving force to motivate those coaches and those players to beat Southern Cal.
It's a game of who's going to flinch first. We know that isn't going to be Notre Dame.